Good evening to you. So today our title is Preventing Digital Burnout, which will affect the curriculum, career, character and choices of students we are thinking, but it will have similar effects on parents also. So my last substantive post was as head of Department of Pharmacology in a state medical faculty in Sri Lanka. Why this comes under my purview is with too much digital screen use, neurochemistry changes and neuronal behavior changes. So it is not an easy thing to just say it will get right. If children are too much on the screen, it will not get right. Now from slide 22 onwards, we will concentrate on cyberbullying. But why cyberbullying and how to prevent it starts before that. So I have to go through properly the subject matter. So my next slide gives you, slide number 2, the key features of a child as she is getting digitized. What will she show? There will be inattention. That means during the 40 minutes school time or 30 minutes school time, the child will be fidgety, can't stay in one place, because her attention span has dropped. So attention span has got less, as well as attention depth has got shallow. So span got less and then depth has got shallow. I'm at key features, inattention. Then the depth at which the child can absorb the study has got less, so the child will assume she knows and will quickly want to get on to the next topic without absorbing the present topic. And when the child is not absorbing studies in the classroom, the child will be disturbed. The same will be at home, seated with the book but fidgeting around. Then impulsivity is the second feature, which is because of increased dopamine secretion in the brain and because of neuronal pattern changing while on the screen too long. So this problem was always there if a child is into too much of entertainment, digital games, fast cartoons on a pixel screen, which means a smartphone, iPad, tab or a smart laptop. So one important thing to do is to get the child on an old desktop or an older laptop where the screen is not LED. I hope you understood that. So when you are putting the child on a smartphone with a high PPI, pixels per inch, you are setting the child up for digitization. So since schools may do a lot of screen online teaching, you have to think of the best screen on which the child can learn. Then the third feature is child will be hyperactive. So the child will be moving around rather than studying. I hope you got that point, to look for an older laptop with a LCD screen or an older desktop with a LCD screen. Smartphone, iPad, tab are not the best for longer study sessions. Then I have advised schools to give in-between time adequately between two study sessions. Only problem is when they have in-between time, they do some more entertainment and digital games and surfing on the screen. So it is good if there is an adult seated side by side while the student is on the screen. I know these are not always logistically possible, so I am pitching the best case scenario to avoid digitization and cyberbullying subsequently. So the third slide is 5 key laws. Reduce screens after 6 p.m. Because at 6 p.m. melatonin begins to secrete and the brain gets ready to do the night functions, which includes memory, collation, connection, all that. So anything that disturbs the child's study after 6 p.m. will make the child vulnerable to screen onslaught, because public enemy number 1 for kids on the screen is the screen itself. Ensure that after 6 p.m. child's digital activity is minimal. Second law I mention is take a break after 25 minutes of screen. Never work with LED lights around you. So at least where the child is studying, ensure that there are no more LED lights on the roof or wherever. LED lights and the blue frequency works like pixel on the child's brain. Never work with, so try to minimize the LED blue light frequency happening in the home environment where the child is studying. And I repeatedly say, please don't use 4K or 8K TV screens at home. That increases blue light frequency, which adds to the brain digitizing effect of the screen. Third law is keep attention span for 45 minutes when the child is 12 and above. And when the child is below 12, attention span should be for 30 minutes, which means do one thing at a time for 30 minutes or do one thing at a time for 45 minutes. This applies even to adults. If you multitask on social media, flip from this to the other, you lose memory. Your working memory becomes like stressed behavior. And if you keep your attention span every hour, doing one thing at a time, you don't get Alzheimer. Fourth law is no screen at meal times. This has to be strictly implemented. All this, if the child gets used to the screen at meal time, it becomes a lifelong unbreakable habit. Whatever you do at meal time, child will learn for life. Meal time is the most brilliant, brain absorbing time. That's the best time to teach the child the best things, good manners, good behavior, long lasting moral lessons. It's during meal time. Fifth law is that no screen before 3 years. This is not applicable to the student population of Horizon College, but just for parents, if you begin the problem before 3 years, child's language will be limited, speech will be scrambled, child's neuronal behavior will be always hyperactive. This is a medical prescription. American Pediatric Association strongly recommends that there should not be screen before the age of 3. Absolutely no screen before the age of 3. Now, most parents will gasp and hold their breath and may say, "This is a horrible doctor, he is destroying our digital nanny." But this is the fact of medicine, is that don't give your child the screen before the age of 3 years. Fourth slide is explaining the digitizing effect of the digital screen, how long a child is watching the digital screen. So I normally say after 25 minutes, switch off. Ideally speaking, sessions where a child has to look at a pixel screen should not be more than 25 minutes. But I understand logistically you might have to go on for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So at the parent's end, try to find a laptop without a smart screen. Then pixels per inch of the smartphone screen will affect the child. Rate of pixel change in the frame, intensity and variability of sound and color. Time exposure effect, after 6 p.m. digitizing effect is more. Child will be sleep disturbed. Sleep disturbed meaning he is vulnerable for other things. When melatonin has not worked in the brain as it ought to after 6 p.m., child's brain becomes very edgy, thrill-oriented, risk-taking behavior arises with whatever that disturbs the night procedure of sleep, which is a good design that we have. Then multitasking while on the screen must be discouraged, must be supervised. Flipping from Snapchat to Instagram to whatnot increases the digitizing effect, and it becomes a very aggressive behavior when kids begin to change the screen, what they are watching all the time. The aggression begins there because the pixels become more aggressively influencing. So don't do multitasking. shifting from Snapchat to Instagram to whatever else. So appeal to parents. Slide number 5. Dear parents, comparison or competition is unnecessary. Every child is a star, having his/her own radiance in the firmament of their excellence. Parents will factor and protect children from devious, unseen influences that come into their life from peers, cartoons and digital games. Don't allow them to be on it without you knowing what they are doing. When they are long on the screen for study sessions, this is not easy, but this is necessary. If there is a grandparent in the house, it will be a very good help really. Parents will give time and not gadgets. Harsh correction does not work with this generation. You have to be their friend, you have to run with them, you have to be their coach. You can't strictly correct them, they don't accept strict correction. 4, parents will clarify their ambitions for children. It will have an effect on their personality, character and spirituality. I will mention this later. You can't run your races through the children's performance. So any conveying of language of perform or perish, swim or sink, putting pressure on the child for performance will come back as a child who is stressed, belligerent, bullying, where he feels parents bullied him into performance. So you have to have stock of what he can really do. I think this slide will come again, but at this point I will mention that 70% of children were verbal processing, can sit in the class and learn with words and writing, reading. But 30% of children were always pictorial processing. They understand pictures better. If a child is too much on the digital screen, child gets pushed to being pictorial and will not like to understand or study through reading and language. So more screen it is, the more problem it is for children to get their language and into the verbal mode of study. Sixthly, these are appeal to parents. Parents will stretch children only to what children can bear, knowing that they can fatigue or fracture inwardly. So when they are bullied into beyond what they can do, they will become bullies themselves. You have heard it before. Victims become the victimizers. So don't let the child get into that mode. I have to perform, if not, I am not accepted. So parents have a lot of competition in them, and children absorb it from the parents. 7, parents count the cost on children, wear and tear of being pushed into studies, sports, elocution, music. You know, children have a timetable so packed, they don't think life is fun. So in our Colombo Empathic Learning Center, where I am founder director, our slogan is recover childhood. That's one of our mission statements, recover childhood and recover real learning. And help them to know calibration is necessary, but do more celebration than calibration. Calibration is testing. You didn't do this, dirty shame, I invested on you so much. This kind of economic language by stressed up parents, children often hear. So this has to stop. We have to educate our parents that a child that got bullied by having to perform for the satisfaction of dad or mom, effects will manifest in the child's life. So we strongly, from the first 3 years of a child's life, child gets intimacy, bonding, social connectedness and brain brilliance through mom. But from 3rd year, dad has to be strongly there to give the child the next step, next stretch, and how to give the boundary and to tell him how you go beyond the boundary, why you should not go beyond, all that. Father is the one who has to give competence, confidence, and that certainty that a child can do certain things between age 3 to 6. Up to age 3, but the child roots into mom. So I tell moms that even from the mother's womb, speak to the child, pray, sing, do good things, speak well to the child even before the child is born. These are medically proven effective measures for bonding, brain brilliance, and application in later life. Appeal to parents, next slide, slide number 7. Parents should not run their races through children. Parents will not push children to be independent in order to have their time freed for other pursuits. Don't drive the theme, you ought to be doing this by yourself, just because you find it difficult to give the child time. So I make this point at this stage to tell parents, your best career, your most important career begins at 7 p.m. when you come home. You are a trainer of 2 citizens for life. That's your son and daughter. That's your most important career. So pitch it when you come 7 p.m. at home. Your time belongs to them, not to the phone, not to the laptop. That email can wait, that WhatsApp can wait. You must have a good timetable for 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. by which time most children will be getting to bed. The 10th point in this list is parents should not be enamored with their child's starry glory, because a child is a star anyway all the time. Whether the child gets many trophies at the sports meet or many prizes at the prize giving, that should not determine your response towards your child. So we strongly recommend dad to be involved in the child's mistake management, because most dads are very keen to be there at the prize giving if the child has won a prize. But when the child fails, it all comes on the mother. I hope you got that in. It's the mother who makes it safe internally daily, but when the child fails, the hero must be there. Dad must be there to raise him up. And time of attending on a mistake is a time of investment. It's time for future dividends. This is a generation that is opinionated. They know Microsoft Teams better than you. They know all kinds of digital gadgets better than you. So they think they know everything. But when they fail, then when they need that course correction, Dad, you must sit with them. You can't stand 6 feet tall and start shouting or saying things. You have to sit with them, share their sorrow, absorb their error, and absolve them of that. That is dad business. Mom can't do it. You can't say, yeah, I am too busy. After 7 o'clock belongs to children. Every weekend belongs to children. Yes, COVID will do quite well. All COVID news can go on, but your children can't go on without you. Next slide, slide number 8. Learning off the screen rather than black and white print reduces memory, recall, collation, connection, application, which is the learning process. I hope you will get this slide presentation, go through with the family at home, and also buy some of my books on right learning and recovering childhood. This book is on, I don't know whether you can see, anyway, it's on parenting, heart and brain. Then I have another book called Mom, Dad and Me and Mistake Management. And my first book was Recovering Childhood and Learning. Because this is a journey in this digital age, you can't make outsiders counselors. You can't go when a child has hyperkinetic behavior, inattention. Please don't go to doctors who will prescribe drugs. attention deficit cannot be healed with drugs. It has to be attended with empathic learning therapy. So in our center, we have a 3,600 square feet huge area with empathic learning therapy and empathic motor therapy. So that is my research area in the medical profession. I am repeating this because when children are handed over to the screen, parents think there are quick solutions with drugs. For learning processes, there are no quick solutions with drugs. Now we get to the graphics. I hope you can see the graphics. First graphic is just a neuron. That's not a hairstyle but a neuron. And that edge that looks like disheveled new hairstyle is the neuron with the dendrites, the incoming branches, and the axon is what carries the message. Then at the end are receptors. One receptor connects to the other. In between you get neurochemical transmitters. Those are the chemicals that connect the messages. And when you are too much on the digital screen, those chemicals go wrong. Next slide will tell you how it goes wrong. Slide number 10. We all and kids, we think and do. So we think through with dopamine working towards salience. Slide, that's right. Salience is doing something, focused attention. So dopamine in the this prefrontal cortex will work like that. Dopamine in the prefrontal cortex, I am just putting my head there, works like that because this is the top-down regulation of think and do, executive empathic, good for you, good for my future, this is what my parents expect. So dopamine must work for 45 minutes and then serotonin takes over as the one does the check back. Did I do it well? Can I improve on it? So serotonin talks for improvement, satiety. Serotonin is a neurochemical transmitter. Some call it the happy hormone, but it's not a hormone. It's a neurochemical transmitter. Self-check. So when the child is on too much of digital screen, the dopamine goes up and up and up. And the dopamine receptors shift from physiological to addictive, then the child does not do check back on studies or check back on character. He thinks whatever he does is good enough, whatever he does is right. When the child is too much on the digital screen, that's how cyberbullying becomes, it's okay, I don't care. And in fact, they will use this word often, I don't care, who cares? And if the older is a boy and younger is a girl, often the Nangi feels harassed, intimidated by this I don't care behavior. They have entitlement behavior, they get rude, and it's because it's a digitizing effect on the brain. They have lost that sense of look back, I need to improve, I can improve. They have lost that facility. Next slide. It's good for parents to understand this. You will see I have marked track 1. That is the top-down regulation, how we should live, operate, function, think, do. Top-down regulation. Executive, empathic, reflective, creative. And how does it go? You initiate, you navigate, and you come to a successful end conclusion, and you get the reward. Who says reward? Firstly, your own inside says well done. That reward is important. That's for studies or for any other function. We want to finish what we started, navigate to a good end. This generation that is digitized starts something, they don't finish it. At studies, they have to be supervised and told endlessly, do this, finish this, what is the meaning of this, you put your clothes in the right place. Of course, these habits should have begun before the age of 5. we keep lifelong habits that we learn before the age of 5. So before the age of 5, children who learn to eat fruit and vegetable, they are okay with fruit and vegetable. Brush your teeth, wash the back of your ears and all those things, put your clothes in the right place, mese askaranda, all that you have to teach them before the age of 5. That's habit training. Now when children are getting digitized, they lose the top-down modus operandi, they lose the top-down way of addressing life, they shift to track number 2, which is called bottom-up regulation. That's a physiological medical term that works through the amygdala, hippocampus and hypothalamus. It's reflexive behavior. Child is often in dyspathy. Dyspathy is, I don't like what I see, I don't like what I do, I don't like what you tell me, I don't in fact like myself. So that's not a nice place to be, but that's where the digital screen drives them. They become impulsive, repetitive, reflexive, reactive, come for a fight, rude. They are on a fight, flight, fright escapade. This is thrill, peril behavior. Now this track is there in our brain, designed so that we respond to peril situations, the foxhole kind of situation. You start slipping on a banana skin, then automatically your body gets into place and you respond. Children on the digital screen are always on that. So if you go and tell your son, oh, darling, you have been on the screen for 3 hours, they'll say, what rubbish, I just started. You're always nagging me. Now that's the kind of thing they say. So we must prevent them getting into this bottom-up regulation. It's called bottom-up because after that they listen to all the sounds and light and everything that goes around them. They are jittery. They have lost the art of listening to the inner voice, inner being. Did I study it well? You know, our heart talks back to us. We have an umpire inside us called conscience. All that gets violated and they are into match fixing, like fixing the umpire. They think what they do is the norm, what they do is the standard. So they can get into adult behavior, which includes pornography, sexual harassment, gambling, tit for tat, revenge kind of behavior quite early in life, because that's the way the digital screen drives them. I have much more clips than this to explain the subject, each one separately. If you need any clips, you can WhatsApp me to 077 49 59 214. This particular side you need to understand, parents, very carefully and work with it. Explain it to your son and daughter. I repeat, it's good to have counselors, but this generation, when they start going wrong, parents have to pick it up early. Still better, prevention is better than cure. Let them not go wrong. So parents, please hear my plea. I have seen over 1,000 children with this kind of problem over the last 3 years. Learning problems, speech problems, pornography problems, self-injury problems, depression, disturbed sleep, all kinds of problems. So I am telling you to please be attentive before they go on that bottom-up regulation way of behaving, which means the last hour's thrill or last hour's pain drives them. They are like on a kick-started mode. And then they fantasize sci-fi, spook, monsters, magic, aliens, and that pulls them into a fantastic, unrealistic, unachievable future. So they are never in the present. Either the past thrill of the digital screen dopamine is driving them forward, or else they have imagined things that are not existing, that they can never do. So as a principle, 50% of what you imagine, you must do during the day. I repeat, 50% of what you imagine, you must do during 24 hours. Next slide. Now I think we have been speaking for half an hour. I'll have to keep about 15 minutes at least for cyberbullying, but I have to lay down the foundation. That's what I'm doing. This slide, no, there is a slide number 12, 7 tracks. This slide has 7 tracks. These tracks develop from the child's womb. That's why when mom is pregnant, we advise mom to speak to the child. Even if you are a working mom, take time to be quiet in the office, speak to the child, sing to the child, and so on. The first track is empathic intuitive, that is how the child thinks about himself. Second track is empathic relational, how the child relates to others. Third track is linguistic. Fourth track is logical management. I told you about the linguistic track. If you put a child on the digital screen before the age of 3, child's speech will scramble. That is, every bit of the digital screen before the age of 3 is a horrible thing to do. I call it child abuse. Child should grow with building blocks, touchable, tactile, walking around. When a child is toddling along, scratching the floor with his toes and with his fingers and Danaganama, Badaganama, that's what makes the child brain brilliant. More tactile sense operation, proprioception operation, that is that the child's joints are moving and the child is moving around. That's what makes the child brain brilliant. So when you put the child on the screen, he sits on his buttocks, he doesn't move around. That's a horrible thing to do to the child. So fourth one is logical management. Logical management, child learns by him doing and seeing the effect. All of digital screen does it and child follows it as a robot. Kids think they play digital games. They don't play digital games. The screen plays and they are slaves. Screen plays and they are slaves. So these are the planning tracks with which we think and do work. Then we have kinesthetic track, acoustic track, visual track. Those are the one that gets really hyped up by the screen. Learning tracks dumb down. The showy tracks get revved up. So the child becomes a bit of a showman. Rather than doing work, he begins to show up, boast, tantrums and all that. Those are the effects of the digital screen. Next slide. Now what I will do is, I will go quickly to slide number 22 and address the issue of cyberbullying and get back to some of these things. There's an important subject I have to finish before the hour is done. That is, how do you minimize the digitizing effect when the child has to be on the screen? I think I will do that before going to cyber screen. While you are on this, before going to cyberbullying, I will get to the minimizing digitalization while the child has to work on the screen. Now this is slide number 17. This is applicable to your older children also. If you ask me what about the adults, the screen effect that has, the effect the screen has on a child, the digitizing effect the screen has on a child in 30 minutes will have on the adult in about 2 hours. So you are not exempt, only that it takes longer with you. Secondly, this is not about you working on Excel sheets or PowerPoint or Microsoft Word docs. This is about you being engaged on high pixel consuming programs. I hope you understood that. So I return to the topic of, while the child is studying on the screen, what can you do to minimize the digitizing effect? I hope you're on slide number 17. That's right. We are on the right slide. While working on screen, take down notes. You have to insist on this. You might have to help your fellow, because most people think screen is everything. Screen is not everything. Handwriting makes brain brilliant. After all, handwriting and language and speech is what makes man different from animals. There are other important things also, that man is different from the animal. But if we lose our language ability, we are losing our brilliance. So take down short notes, those studying on the screen. Take down notes in flowing hand. Insist on flowing hand. I hope your school uses Royal Crown copybook, as my school, St. Thomas's, does. Writing on notepads, insist that they use the cursives. That's how letters are formed, because when you do cursives, you do clockwise and you do anti-clockwise. You understood that, isn't it? When you are using the flowing hand, you do clockwise and you do anti-clockwise. That makes brain brilliant. Work on a laptop without a smart screen rather than iPad, tab or smartphone. Do not increase digitization in your personal life with entertainment and other type of activity. Watching 4K, 8K screen is a terrible thing to do to children who are studying. For all digital activity, use laptop rather than small pixel intense screen. Do not use 4K or 8K screen for home. Every bit of blue light in the house increases digitizing effect. So do not use LED lights in bedroom or washroom or where the child is studying or you're studying. Then comes the issue of do not allow your child to take the digital gadget into the bedroom. Do not allow your child to take the gadget into your bedroom. A little thought about sleep. Now, high-end schools in UK do not allow kids to take their digital gadgets to the dormitory. These are private schools. They sign a contract saying your child will not be allowed the digital gadget in the dormitory to prevent them getting digitized in the night. So if a child is on the screen late into the night after 10 p.m., you cannot recover that child. So please attend on this. Don't keep postponing this. If you need to see me, you can. I don't charge for consultations because this is such a tragedy. I repeat, you have to negotiate with it early that the child does not take the digital gadget to the bedroom. You have to negotiate it. Don't think I am old-fashioned. I am just the specialist on the field. Then here is something you must try to. When the child is falling asleep, that's the most sensitive, precious time of a child. I told you 7 p.m. onwards, Dad, your time belongs in the home to your family. After 7 p.m., your time belongs not to the corporate, not to the profession, not to the TV screen. It belongs to your family. Then when the children go to bed at 9 o'clock, if you can capture that time of them falling asleep, at that time there's a neurochemical transmitter called GABA, gamma amino butyric acid. When the child is falling asleep at that time, the child is sensitive. That's the mea culpa time. The child feels that happened at school, that bad thing happened at school. They want to divulge that. They want to confess that. For that, you must be by the child's bedside. Make that time of awakefulness to sleep as precious as possible, loving as possible, cuddles and hugs as possible, so that child enters much loved physiological sleep. If a child is digitized, though he is physically sleeping, his brain is not going through the necessary brain program for the night. It is an amazing, wonderful brain program that for night time is almost more important for the brain than daytime. Melatonin works, GABA works for the kid to fall asleep. So you hang around by the kid, and then they will say this went wrong, that went wrong. The safety, security, bonding is best at that time and at wake up time. So when you have to wake up a child, if that child is digitized and sleep disturbed, they don't want to get up. They get up with a grumpus mood. That is because the sleep program didn't happen. So a good sleep program includes, of necessity, they must have dream sleep and no dream sleep alternating. Dream sleep is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Non-REM is no dream. Initially you see bad dreams, then laterally you see good dreams. So if you wake up in the middle of a bad dream, that means your sleep has been disturbed. So this is very important for adults or kids, more so for kids. If your kid is waking up in the morning complaining about the teacher, grumpy, complaining about shoes, trousers, that means the child's sleep is disturbed. So this can happen to you also. As you get up in the morning, if you feel woe be gone and tea is bad and everything is bad, that means your sleep, you are getting disturbed. You have to recover the child's sleeping moments. Awake to sleep is very precious. Waking up in the morning is very precious. Please, in the morning, don't do 9 times 9 is 81, is not for early morning. Kiss the child to wake the child up. Don't shout at the child, you are not getting up, what is the meaning of this, I am getting late for office. You ruin the child. I have to state this again. The bullying child receives is the bullying child gives. Love child receives is the child love gives. Bonding child receives is the attention child gets to studies. So you need to please remember this. Minimizing digitization, slide number 2. Reduce multitasking. Munch vegetable and fruit. Somehow you have to get this habit. Munching is a brain brilliant activity, besides the fact that crunchy vegetables and crunchy fruit have serotonin. Then you can give to their fingers tweezers, clay balls, all that reduces, squeezing clay balls, reduces the digitizing effect. Rough coir woven carpet for the feet, lanu padura, and barefooted scratching on the lanu padura also reduces digitization effect. Similarly, you can hang a cricket ball in a sock and then playing it tock, 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 tock reduces digitizing effect. Then card games, table tennis, taking aim at carom reduces digitizing effect. Any sports reduces digitizing effect. Just throw the ball to catch, looking at the projectile and catching reduces the digitizing effect. Many of this generation have to wear spectacles because their muscles of accommodation and other organelles in the eye have not developed because they are too much on the screen. Watch sunrise and sunset. This improves melatonin activity. I repeat, watch sunrise and sunset. So at sunset time, ideal sunset is when dad is playing cricket with the son outside, with the daughter outside, and the sun is setting. You see it, effect of sunset comes on you. And as you know, cricket is a more intelligent game than rugby. Increase sports activities, increase 3D activities. That's about it. The slide number 19. Do not listen to music while working. You will jar your memory. Your performance will go down. Classic music improves the kind of deep waves that promote memory and learning. The rambunctious music ruins memory and learning. There's a thing called the Mozart effect. You can Google it and see. I can't do anything more today on that. Keep shapes visible on the desk around the screen. 3D touching, 3D viewing minimizes digitization. Now, I am going to the cyberbullying part now. Slide number 22. Cyberbullying, harassing. So there are 5 forms of cyberbullying. This is the first one, harassment. Harassing someone is a common method of online bullying. This may occur when someone uses one of three strategies: engaging in warning wars. So they get into riff-raff, tit for tat, that kind of thing. Then participating in text wars, so WhatsApp and so on. Now, it's a very difficult thing, but I was lecturing in a mainline girls' school in Colombo, and the deputy principal told me that she negotiated with her daughter up to O-level that she will not have a smartphone, she will use the mother's phone. This is a very high-end girls' school in Colombo. Daughter agreed, and she did extremely well in her O-level. Then mom said, "Darling, now since you have done so well in your O-level, shall we try not to have your personal smartphone till you finish A-level? Anytime you feel that you want the smartphone, I'll get you one." So mother and daughter came to agreement, and when I last met them, one full year of A-level they had done with daughter using mom's phone. So this is not old-fashioned. This is a mainline girls' school in Colombo. So parents, you have to coach your kids when they will own a smartphone, when they will have access to a smartphone. All that increases the smartphone bullying. Yeah. There's a proverb in Sinhala which says, "Attun yana mantibiyadi kuhumbuang yana mang wasannak men." That means when you leave wide gaps through which elephants can creep and then try to put the problem right about where ants creep, it will not work. So you have to have some sit down, chat, long process about making the smartphone not a status symbol, not an absolutely necessary thing. You have to work it out. Under harassment, posting rumors, threats or embarrassing information on social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, whatever they use. So that's another technique. So what I did was, I took 45 minutes for you I took about 20 minutes, I took about 25 minutes to describe the basis of brain development and the digital screen. I took about 20 minutes to get you to understand the flip-flap side and the prevention. So all that is valid for cyberbullying. Cyberbullying doesn't start immediately. A bullied child, a digitized child who all his heroics are on the screen. So because when all your heroics are on the screen, there is a dopaminergic part that has to be expended in sports, in friendly banter, meeting with kids and really playing, really doing thrilling things. When that is not available, all their adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, drivenness, pent-up feelings go on the screen and go against someone else. Then I told this, when a child feels antagonized, not appreciated, child feels intimidation or child feels competition, it comes out as bullying also. You need to check on that. Then I told you about reading sci-fi books, aliens, magic, spook, all digital cartoons have all kinds of violence. So this will come out as bullying. So while the child is on the screen for such things, trying to stop cyberbullying only will not work, because the screen is anyway bullying the child. I hope you understand that. When a child is on different screen games, which has murder and whatnot, killing others, screen is bullying the child. A bullied child, invaded child, dopamine-driven child will do the dopamine dastardly thing to other children. What I forgot to mention was all addiction, drug addiction, trying ecstasy, then trying harder drugs, is related to the digital addiction. So UCLA calls digital screen addiction electronic cocaine, because when you flip dopamine from dopamine 1 receptor to dopamine 2 receptor, it's addictive receptor. That's what cocaine does. So the screen digitizing effect is not a simple effect. It doesn't go away suddenly. You have to work at it. We do long detox programs for children of all ages, starting from 7, 8 to 20-year-olds, 24-year-olds. Lot of work is involved in the detox process. It's possible, lot of work is involved. Next method of bullying is by impersonation. A cyberbully may also impersonate another, causing problems. They get into the online profile, then put sexual, racist or the inappropriate thing, develop a screen name that is similar to the victim's screen name, and then posting rude or hurtful remarks while pretending to be the victim. So they sully your friend's name, and this may come out of jealousy, this may come out of competition, because screen makes life, there's no give and take. Screen is a vicious command. So the child victimized by the screen behaves like an impossible command. What he says must happen. So this is how the bullying comes. Keep watch about your children's friends whom he is meeting with. What I do is I get them to draw the classroom, place the children, name them, then get them to show where friends are, who is the monitor. You map the classroom and find out what is most affecting, who is most influencing. It is a good thing to get their friends to come home for the birthday party and get to know what kind of friends your fellow is mixing up with. Parents, you have to give time to your children. Parents, you have to give time to get to know the friends of your children. Now remember, Dad, up to the age of 12, home is their greatest influence. Passing 13, they begin to listen to peers more and more. If a child is mature, precocious, they will be listening to peers even before 13. So before 13, Dad and Mom, you must be your child's best friend. Before 13, you have to be your child's best friend. So the children get authority, identity, affirmation, accreditation from Dad. So you have to do things with them, run with them, play the bicycle with them, play card games with them, play board games with them. If you are an aloof father, and if you have so many things to do without developing your child, why did you have a child? So I am quite strict on this. You have to say, my first career is not corporate, my first career is not profession, my first career is home, where I am training future citizens. So I am on this impersonation, different ways of impersonating. Develop a screen name that is similar to the victim's screen name. Pretend to be someone else in order to have unsuspecting person into a fake relationship. You know that fake identities, profiles can be created. Set up an account on a social networking site, posting as the victim while saying mean, hurtful, offensive things online. Then some can steal the password or cunningly take the password. At age 12, of course, it's rare to find those who can hack into the password, though it is possible. Then they begin to use your profile, your child's profile, and post nasty things, pornographic material and so on. All this needs watch. Please recover your child's sleep onset time. Please attend on it. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., your time belongs to your children. And develop a family habit of going to the bedside and gently laying them down to sleep. So their memories of going to sleep are very soothing, loving memories of dad and mom being with them. Inappropriate photographs is the slide number 24. You already know it. I won't, so they can get photographs, they can alter photographs, and embarrassing photos of way of controlling. You will be surprised to know how much foolish things girls can do, even boys can do, and post themselves nude and then suffer so much blackmail. And this can go on to even dangerous behavior, attempts at suicide, and so on. So you have to regularly have some way of watching what is done with the phone if they own a phone. And when they are on Chromebook or laptop, similarly you have to be on the watch. I have 2 more slides on different techniques of cyberbullying. Website creation and use another website, develop a website with information that is humiliating, embarrassing or insulting for the victim, and so on. Then sharing no good videos, That brings me to the end of my talk. Yeah, I am finished. I have concluded.